All right. Well, welcome everybody to creating an ebook. It's a special event today. It's even though it's Make It on Monday is every month. We try to do something instructional. I've been noticing more and more of you have book ideas and things that you want to get published. And I just did a poll. I'm not sure if you remember. I did bring it back. So I had 14 people responded, which was great. And you're all on different levels. And so it started making me think of that instead of having one huge course, which I still probably will do eventually, that I'll do little modules. And because I think people are in different places. And some of you am I sharing? Have you seen this? Can you say hello?
Yep, seeing it
Okay. Okay,
perfectly.
good. So, so you're all kind of like in different places, right? And we first started talking about creating an ebook when we started talking about possibility. We were posting our books and stuff like that. And I said, oh, you know what we should do? Because now like over 126 people now, which is really cool. One of the hardest things to do as an author or publisher, whatever you want to call yourself, is getting reviews. There's paid sites. There's begging your family, which I don't do anymore, because they you can't really, to be honest, you can't rely on them. And so I thought this is a great group of supportive people. We all want to support each other. Why not have a day or two where we can do that? So before we do that, though, we kind of need to make sure that everybody has the access or the ability to create an ebook. This is going to be, I'm not going to say broad because there's a lot of information here, but there's still a lot more to present. We'll talk about that at the very end of the class. So, make sure I'm doing this correctly. Back to the screen. There we go. So we asked the poll, where are you your writing career or writing process, I guess you'd say. 5 of you said you never wrote a book, but are planning to. 3 are in the process of writing it. 2 have even actually written chapters, which is really great. And 4 of you are published authors. Now, I don't know of the ones that are published, if you're published, self-published, or you have, you know, contracts. You might have a contract. I came this close to being a dummy author. I wrote an article about iAds. I don't know if you remember iAds when the App Store first came out. They were doing iAds. I wrote an article, and they Wiley approached me and said, "Would you like to write a dummy book?" Of course, iAds never made it, and my writing career went down the tubes. But still, it's interesting that think about it. You could write an article about anything. You never know. Somebody might contact you, and you might be you know, a traditional publisher, which is pretty cool. Um, so ebooks, there's really 3 major types of communication, I guess you'd call it, right? We have the paper book, the paper. I don't even have a copy of one of my books here, but I'll just show. I know you know what a paperback is. This one's actually thick. This is Writer's Journey by Christopher Vogler, but this is all text. But the traditional picture book and then ebook and audiobook. Audiobook is getting more and more popular. Hard book is um, obviously the larger houses have hard books, hardbacks. Um, but as a Amazon author, it's hard to do hardback because or hardcover because it's economically restrictive, unfortunately. And the only way you can do it is if you go over to China. And I do have resources if you do want to do that. By the way. I have a really close contact over there. Um, I myself have never done that. I've thought about it. When I started about 10 years ago, I got into the Facebook groups, and several of us were all rising at the same time. We were all doing the same thing, and some of them just shot through the roof, and they're multimillionaires now. I mean, they're doing really, really well. And some of us are not, and that's okay. But there's a secret to the madness. I can't go into that now, but there's a secret to the madness. But we still have control over this, right? We can still do an audiobook, an ebook, and a soft cover or paper, um, picture book, whatever you want to call it. This is a an older. Uh, this is from bestthrillers.com. It's an older set of data, but it's still, I think it's very valuable. Um, so we looked at the different types, but what are the things that really are important for authors? And that's book reviews. Book reviews is the secret sauce to an author. If you have a book review, you need more than, I would say you probably need more than 20 to 25 to even be taken seriously. You really need a lot to get sales. I mean, 200, 300, 400, thousands of them, right? People are going to trust you. You need those reviews. Um, so book reviews are crucial. We talked about that way in the beginning, 10 minutes ago. Book reviews are very important. Giveaways, discounts, those will be tied into the ebook. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. We talk about marketing. Email marketing, we have, I mean, if you're a school owner, you have an email list, which is phenomenal. As a school owner, you have a phenomenal email marketing list if you are accepting emails. Social media, um, possible, difficult, but possible. And awards. I haven't done too much with awards because it costs money. It can cost anywhere from 50 to $150, something like that, to get an award. And I'm just not that big to do that. I can't justify the cost. And also, there's obviously marketing. There's advertising too, as well. And I've done that too, and I've broken even on that. But it's possible. And a lot of the bigger independent authors will advertise. They're probably advertising right now, $30,000 to $40,000. Some of them even a day. The big ones, and they have a system of that as well. So Amazon is the king. Amazon is the leader. Obviously, probably everybody who's in here, probably if you don't have an Amazon account, you should have an Amazon account, and you should sell your books on Amazon just because it's the entry to Amazon is so easy. They make it really easy. Apple, I've tried Apple. It's just, you know, for as innovative as they are, or they used to be very innovative, and not as much now, but their iBook system is so dated. It's just so old. They haven't put any money into it at all, and it's clunky and old. Audible, of course, is the audio, which is getting popularity, by the way. Barnes and Noble, if you belong to Ingram Spark, I think you can get into Barnes and Noble. If you go into Kobo, I think is another one. You can get into Barnes and Noble. You can
Audible is
also,
is f affiliated with Amazon, just wanted to put that out there.
sure, yeah, and there's probably other ones too, but they're buying everybody, right? Um, and Audible is, like I said, gaining popularity. So, but we're going to focus on ebooks today. So, if you were to start, let's say you started today, you liked my presentation and you wanted to get going right away, you have to have an Amazon account. Now, don't use your personal account. If you're buying things on Amazon, you need to separate it by using a totally different email and creating, it's free, an Amazon account. You just go KDP, which is Kindle. Their Kindle is their reader. Kindle, I think it's called Kindle Desktop Publishing. I'm not positive what it's called, what KDP stands for. But so I have that. If you're serious, you need to get an EIN number, which is your it's for taxes. I think it's employee ID number, and a bank account. And you have to put in your router information and that type of thing. And that's all in your account information in that. Now you can go as a hobby, you can go as yourself. You don't have to have an LLC if you don't want to. I no longer have an LLC. I used to. Uh, I I only recommend LLCs if you are a character creator, like you draw and you have your own characters. Because if you ever get sued, they can only go after your LLC. They can't go after you personally. That's an important stipulation. So LLC, they'll only be able to go after the LLC, not after your assets. Um, And like I said, it's relatively easy to start. You do it, you get your own account, and then you go into kdp.com, kdp.amazon.com, and you start your own ac- um, account. You'll also need for Kindle, you actually need separate software, and these are the apps. The Kindle Previewer is only if you want to see what your ebook will look like. Kindle Create is what you'll use. Kindle is the actual reader. I mean, they have the actual physical reader, and they also have a digital reader, and that allows you to. Um, they have a program called, um, I think it's called Kindle Select or something like that. You pay like $10 a month. It's important to know that because um, when you go into doing your ebooks, they have we'll talk a little bit about it later, but they have a program that is free. It's a way to promote yourself. You can submit up to one book. I think you have like one or two books you can submit, and it's for 90 days. And they set up a fund every month. It's like millions of dollars. Like this month is $60 million they give out to the authors, and they view it on readership. So it's money from KDP Select. Say let's say I do it. I pay $10, and and then I read Lydia's book. I might read 50 books, 50 pages. That gets recorded, and she'll get a small little check. But let's say it's 5,000 pages. She might get an extra $300 a month just from Kindle Select. So it's a really great program, especially if you have a lot of books and you're really pushing those books because it's going to really enhance not only your sales of your ebooks, but also readership of the Kindle book, Kindle Reader. And then the Kindle books creator, kids book creators specifically for kids. Um, I don't remember all of the formats. I think there's four formats. There's comic book. There's they call it like fixed layout, which is what I use, and then there's flowable text, which is the longer books. And I know I'm throwing a lot of information at you. You'll all receive this PDF, so don't worry about it. Um, and then the flowable is the only like if say you want to do Audible, Audible will only work with flowable text. It will not work with my books because they're fixed. They have to be uh, flowable, meaning they go like you use put it in Word and there's no breaks. It's not like a like page one, chapter one is not a separate from chapter two. It's just continuous, and that's an important stipulation if you have bigger books. Whoops. Um, so I use Canva for all my layout. I like it because everything is right there for me. All my assets are there. Um, and I set up my regular paper books there, and I also set my ebooks there. I set up uh, all my covers are there as well. And I'm not going to go over too much of this, but so on the left, you see the three books there together. Those are 8.5 by 8.5. That is a very standard size of a book that's found in Amazon. When you do open up your Amazon account, there will be a whole series, probably over 50 different page sizes. And they'll tell you which ones that you can get the maximum exposure. 8.5 by 8.5 isn't the maximum exposure, but it's just a great size book for me. I just love it. Um, you because they sell worldwide. Some markets only will accept certain sizes, so just keep that in mind when you're if you're trying to max out. I wouldn't do 8.5 by 8.5. I'd probably do 6 by 9, or I don't know what this. You'd have to go in there and look at yourself to see what the sizes that you want to do. But when it comes to ebooks, you have portrait, which is the first one. Hello Moon is portrait, and the Never Snitch on a Witch is called landscape. Um, I tried landscape. It doesn't work really well in iPhone when you're reading it on your iPhone. And what the research that I've seen is that most people do use portrait. So I would stick with portrait. And I do single page. Some people say do double page, but the problem with double page is it's going to look really wonky, especially if you're doing portrait. Um, The next page, I'm not going to go over it. It just tells you about pixel size. And when you're doing ebook, it's 72 dpi. When you're doing print, it's 300 dpi. All of the readers are 72 dpi, so you don't need to worry about clarity. It's going to be clear. Um, so the steps really are preparing your manuscript, and whether you use AI or whether you have your own story or public domain, you can even use public domain stories. The Velveteen Rabbit is public domain, by the way. I'm doing a little plug. Don't forget to watch that later on this month. And so you can do the flowable text in Word. Personally, I'm not a big Word person, but that's just because I grew up on Apples all my life. Canva, I use Canva. You can use there is a doc version in Canva that you can save flowable text. So if you are using Canva, that you can do that, or you can use Google Docs, whatever it is. Just make sure when you're doing it, make sure it's edited, proofread. Um, the book, this Max and Nikki, I hired two illustrators to help me, and I hired a professional editor. I was so excited about this book. It's the book with the most reviews too. I'm very, very happy with that book. It's even translated in Chinese. um, so I really cared about it. I really wanted to make sure it's probably the last book I did too. Um, and so it depends. I mean, you can probably get an editor for maybe $100 to look at your book, depending how long it is. If it's a longer manuscript, it's probably going to cost you more than that. But here's a great app. It's free, but there is a paid version of it. It's called prowritingaid.com. It's a really great. They'll give you one free analysis. So don't waste it. If you have a long book, I threw my entire book when I'm working on in the British mystery novel. Did the entire one, and I think there's a fixed max of how many words they'll do for you, but and it's beautiful. I mean, it really goes into high detail. What's good, what's not good, overused phrase, too many words, all that stuff. Grammarly is another freebie, but also has a paid version as well. And then we go to using Kindle. It will take with the ebook, it's different than the paperback. The paperback is you just use a PDF and you upload the PDF. But with Kindle, you need to have it's a special format called KPF, and again, you don't have to worry about writing this down. KPF, and there's a special. We talked about those apps. One of those, Kindle Create, is an app that you would use to. It's got to be in that format, so it'll take it and put it in that format. Or you can use a docx file for the flowable as well. Like I said, I use fixed layout, and those are the two. There's like four different options you can use. Professional cover, like Canva has a cover creator. It allows you for kids books, but it's great for adult books like novels. So, and you can do. There's another place that has. There's a bunch of places you can get covers. Um, and I always do my own. I just create my own. Um, and I'm not going to go into detail about best covers and stuff like that. I do have a video actually. I think in the instruction series in the Make It on Monday in the classroom. I do talk about covers a little bit there. Um, Try to get a cover that's going to be seen small as well. Remember, on Amazon, the chances are the very first thing they're going to see is a small little thumbnail of your book. And if it's all busy and it's not, you can't really read the title and stuff, they're gonna. I don't know what people will do, but you might get missed. So just keep that in mind. Um, and to set up your Kindle, um, here's a mistake that I made. So I'm going to share it with you so that you don't make that mistake. I used both my legal name, which is Nicholas Nabelsky, and my nickname, which is Nick Nabelsky. And the problem was Amazon had me down twice, and it was confusing to the reader. It was confusing. I had some books and some. It was just really a big mess. So if you have, I would always use your legal name. You can in the description box. I don't know if I'll show you that part of it, but um, you can put AKA, but it can go in there, and you can also put it on your cover. But don't put it in your legal um, KDP site because it's all tied to your taxes and and your bank information has to be the same. You know what I mean? So think about that. You will have to upload bank information so when you get paid, they can send it somewhere. If you're going legit, you need a tax number. And we talked briefly about this LLC versus sole proprietor. It's got a spelling error there. Sorry, I gotta blow my nose. I'm gonna put this on mute for a second. Although I'm afraid to do mute. Hold on. All right. Um, so just LLC again. If you're a cartoonist and you have lots of characters, you want to protect them. Ah, lots of mistakes here. Lots of errors here. Okay. Um, so LLC, you definitely do LLC, and that's really easy to do. All you have to do is I think it's like I think it's like $50 or something. You have to put it in 3 newspapers, and I mean, I cover that a little bit later. Not in this thing, but in another course. So so these are the 3 biggies. We have book description, keywords, and categories. And you really can't see this, but just get ChatGPT to help you if you can't write a good description. Um, they're gonna want to know the biggest stickler for Amazon. There's 2 things that Amazon really cares about: the category, make sure you got the right category, and the age group. And so you might say, for instance, in your description, you say, "Oh, perfect book for 8 to 25," or you know what it is like that. And then down at the bottom, you'll say, "What age is it for?" 8 to 10. They're going to really nail you on this. So you're going to have to be consistent across the board in your descriptions, in your keywords, and also be very careful with your categories. Categories kind of hard because it goes back and forth a lot. Um, they change it all the time. Used to be you just do 2 categories. Then it was 3 categories. Then it was secretly you could have 10 categories, but you had to know how to do it. It was just such a pain in the butt. So I don't know what the current thing is because I haven't published a book in about a year and a half right now. But um, keywords, don't do simple keywords. Do Google search. Take your, you want a string. Think about if I was, if you were going to look for a book, say on science, on soil for Jim, and just type in what you would write and see what comes up, right? Do those types of things. Put strings. Don't just put soil, dirt, because it's just so obtuse. It's just like, you want to know what I think there's a Google Trends, I think is one of them. It's a free site. You can see what keywords and what phrases people are looking for things. Do that. I have I have tools that I've actually paid for, which I still own, that if you do the course, you'll get access to that or in some form or another. Um, STEM is really big, right? Always use STEM in my keywords because for science. So this is really, really, it's almost like an art. The description, the keywords, and the categories. It's almost like an art. And there's a way for you to become number one bestseller. I can't tell you now, but there is a way. um, so when you start working, you'll be uploading. Um, you'll be using Kindle Create, and so you will be. I believe, if I can't remember, I think I use I think it's PDF is what I use, and I have to save it as PDF standard, and then I have to upload that. I have to import it into Kindle Create. Kindle Create does its magic, turns it into a KPF file or a Mobi file. I can't remember which one, and then you upload that. Um, Amazon KDP for the paperback has a great previewer, really, really nice previewer. It's a flip book. It's real nice, but the Kindle reviewer you have to use it. You have to use Kindle reviewer, the app, or a Kindle. They don't have a good previewer for the ebook. Upload cover file. The cover file is different from the paperback. Paperback is a two-page spread. You know, the back of it, the the front and the back, it's reversed. You know, um, and it's one file, one document. But the cover file for the ebook has to be a JPEG. Don't use TIFF. TIFF is too high size, and that's very important. I'll tell you that a little bit later as we go along. Um, Try to keep your file size as small as possible. I'll tell you why. Um, Make sure you. This is hard to do because what I usually do is I usually do a paperback first, and then when I go to do my ebook, all the information is carried over into the ebook, so I don't really have to do anything again, except maybe I might change the keywords a little bit so it reflects more of the ebook. What someone might find for an ebook. Like I said, you would preview it on the Kindle Reader. For promotion, and I got pictures here. I'm gonna show you in a second. They do a pretty good job of helping you promote your book. You can do, they call it Kindle Countdown, and that's what they do is they have you offer it for like say 99 cents or something like that. You know, the first day, and then in 2 or 3 days it's $1.99, and then it's $2.99, and then it's $4.99. It's like an incentive for them to buy early. They do have a they had I think it's every 90 days you can do a free promo, which we talked about before the ebook, this course even came about. One day this month, we will have a free promo Kindle day where all of us will have ebooks, and we will have 150 reviews, I hope. Um, and that's a legitimate way. So there's no money changing hands, right? I don't pay you any money, you don't pay me any money. It's considered a free transaction. And that's where I look at ebooks as a marketing tactic. I don't look at it so much as something that the child will enjoy. They will enjoy it, obviously, if they're on a Kindle or they have that iPad, they can read it. I don't totally dismiss that, but it's really as an author, it's great for our marketing because that's where you get all your reviews. I mean, if someone buys your book, obviously they're going to, leave a review, but this is the easiest way to get a review. It's the fastest way to get a review. There are other programs out there that are still free. I think Goodreads is one. I can't remember the big one. Maybe somebody knows off the top of their head. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a couple that are geared to helping authors. Um, and so you have the free promo, you have the countdown promo. They have the Kindle Select, which we talked about. You get 2 free books, I believe, every 90 days. The only thing is, it's got to be exclusive to Amazon. You can't go to Barnes and Noble. You can't go to Apple. And I mean, it's a no-brainer because Amazon is the leader, so it's a no-brainer to be there. And you get, I don't know if the people who are here now didn't hear me before, but every month Amazon puts together a fund. This month, $60 million. Can you believe it? $60 million is being distributed to authors. So if you have a book that's just kicking butt and people are reading 500, 5,000, 10,000 pages, you'll get more money from Kindle Select than you will selling your book. And on top of that, they give out bonuses. So if you're leading your category, you might get an extra $2,000 to $3,000 by leading your category in readership. So it's really nice. It's free money. Um, I've never had that happen though for myself. Um, Obviously, the more reviews you get, the higher you do go up in rank. The higher in rank you go, um, the more you're deemed, worthy and that type of thing. Lots of typos on this page. Again, um, so we have the sales, page reads, and then we have royalties. Royalties are, uh, um, I don't think I consider that just part of sales, I guess, royalties. Um, let's see. Wow. Okay. So we're pretty much done. It's an overview. It's a lot more technical than this, but it's doable. You can do it on your own. I did it on my own. I started with CreateSpace. CreateSpace was purchased by Amazon, but CreateSpace was the first one that I used, and and then I use Amazon now for the last probably 8 years. Um, any questions before I go into this next part?
Yeah, can we break in here?
Yeah,
Okay, well, I have a question first, and I have a couple comments. One, when you were talking about making covers, um, why don't you just use chat or something like that to make your cover?
because I'm new. I only started using AI in the last 6 months. I haven't done a book in um, a year and a half, so
Okay,
I didn't have the
well,
luxury of AI back then.
yeah. Well, what I found is that if you're working on a book, say in chat, doesn't have to be in chat, there's other tools. But in chat, if you're working on a book, chat remembers all that you've put in there and you're doing in your particular project. So you've got the body of your text and all this. And I basically start out by just asking chat to produce a cover for the book that I have now, put into the system, and it always comes up with something pretty good. Doesn't require a lot of editing and so forth.
Yeah.
If I
Um,
may, wouldn't Nick, if you are actually creating the layout of your cover and maybe using a template, but um, it's also still Canva still has the AI capabilities in it, but it might be that somebody might want to have a little more authority in the layout as opposed to having a suggestion first just for their own creative process. Would that be partly what you do, Nick?
Well, it's funny because, um, and I love the question, by the way. It's a great question. I didn't have the luxury. Now I do. And now I'm getting excited about books again, right? I mean, you're seeing more and more posts from me about books, and I've been focusing mostly on films. And I haven't been thinking about my books. In fact, I've almost abandoned them now. I feel almost regretful that I've abandoned them. But yeah, I think, oh, actually, you know what? I think Hello Moon was done with Dolly, now that I think about it. And in fact, there were some other books I did in Dolly, but this was way, way back in the beginning, maybe a year or two ago. The thing is, you have to keep in mind is there are rules. And so even though they might create a beautiful looking book, and you take that artwork verbatim and don't do anything to it, it might be totally, I'm gonna say totally wrong, but you have to make sure, first of all, that it's the right DPI. And it probably is. You have to make sure that the margins are correct. You have to make sure that there's proper bleed. You have to make sure there's a whole bunch of things you have to know. And that comes from wisdom of doing it for, I'm not saying I'm the only person here that has done a book by any means, but um, all I'm saying is be careful. Don't just take it verbatim as this is my book cover now, because you might have a title that goes off the page and you're going to get dinged by Amazon because Amazon knows the rules. So you still have to know the rules. Um, that's where traditional book publishing comes into play because there's a lot of things like here's a great example. Um, Amazon notoriously doesn't like to print on the spine, but there's a certain page count that it will do it. Now, you might put it in there thinking, "Oh, I've got this spine now," and they might just dismiss it. And you're like, "What happened?" So these are little things that you just have to know that you will in time you will know this, and that's the whole emphasis of this group is doing so that you will know. And most of the stuff I'm self-taught in almost everything that I've ever done. So it takes a lot of time. What this is trying to give to you is kind of like a jump start, really getting you excited first of all to do it. And I think once I get back into books, I'll probably do second editions and all my stuff because I have this amazing access now. Does that help you answer your
Oh,
question?
yeah. Well, yeah, I have a comment about back to your promotion. Um, I haven't done this, but I know a couple of people who have done this to get higher ratings on Amazon. They get into and I don't know the logistics. I'm just going to tell you in general what I know they did. They did a pre launch for their book, and then they would promote that through their email lists, social media, wherever, and offer the book. Like, say they were maybe offering a book that was going to be on Amazon for $9.99. They would offer it for 99 cents on pre-launch, and get people to buy it and give a review. And somehow, I don't know whether they had to insert the reviews in the Amazon or exactly how that works, but they would have enough reviews so that their book would rank pretty high before it was ever even launched on the Amazon site.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do pre-launch in Amazon right now if you want.
Isn't that
Um,
called a launch team? Is that what does that sound familiar? That would
Um,
be have been a launch team? I've heard of that.
what do you mean?
yeah,
Like
I don't,
extra?
yeah, I don't know the logistics. Maybe Nick does, but I don't know what the logistics are for that. I just know that this is what they did, and they were fairly successful about it. So
Yeah, there's lots of little things that you can do. I made a lot of mistakes. I won't lie to you. I made a lot of mistakes. I usually did things almost kind of for the fun of it in the beginning, you know. And if I had an idea, I said, "Oh, this would make a great book," and I would do it, not thinking of the logistics down the road of making lots of money or anything. Um, and there are people who have done a lot better than I have. And I think the key to the thing is to have like consistency across. We talk about consistency, just like in school, right? Um, you have a consistent message you're trying to push, whether it's anti-bullying or if it's you know coaching, and you're consistent and you have the same. That way, you don't have to spread your marketing out too thin either. The pre-launch definitely is possible. It's an option in Amazon. You can do a pre-launch. I think you can do it with the ebook too. You do a pre-launch. Um, yeah, we could experiment with that. I'm open to checking that out. I think pretty sure that you can do that. I don't know about the reviews. If that's true, that's awesome. Because then you have like 50, 60, 70 reviews before it's even been launched. That's pretty nice. I
yeah,
haven't done it myself, but
somehow the people that I'm talking about, they're able to do that, and their book turns up when it's actually launched on Amazon. It ranks fairly high.
yeah, the KDP site is massive. If you ever go, it's kdp.amazon.com. Their help file is just monstrous. Um, and it's almost over the top, you know. But let's see if I can't do it here. Can I do it here? Let's see. There we go. While I'm doing that, is there anybody else that has a question? Or do you have another question? I'm sorry, I cut you off. Do you have
Uh,
another comment or question?
no, no, I think that's it for me.
Anyone else before we move on?
One other thing that I just thought of that I wonder if you've seen this. I mentioned in the chat that I have a couple of names also on Amazon, um and that's from other publishers, and that's partially why I'd like to self-publish. But in my music, that I have authority over that in ASCAP. Now, going back to Amazon, when someone else has put my music on Amazon because they recorded it, um, it ends up going, because of the way they set it up, under their their name as the person who wrote the music, who wrote all the music. I've got a very silly one on there that's music music by women, and it's got it all written by a man, the man who recorded it. Anyway, um, and I said, hey, you have the wrong author on this. And the guy who recorded it said, hey, you have the wrong author on this. And they said, nope, you have no rights in this. You have no rights to say anything. I said, I certainly do. I wrote the freaking music, but it was hard. It still hasn't been changed to change it once it's in the system. Have you found anything like that where it's really hard to change it once it's in the system?
Yeah, I tell you one thing, you just have to be persistent. Um, when you have proof. I mean, what I would do is go online, get a cease and desist, throw a lawyer's name on there. Doesn't have to be real, and they're going to act differently. When you're going in it as yourself, it's almost like they don't give a shit. I hate to say that, but you got to go in and get some legalese in there so that they do something because once that happens, then they're gonna play a different tune, I think. Because if you have proof, is it self-published music, Lydia?
That particular one that I'm thinking of right now is has a publisher. That's not me. Um,
Wait a minute, what is it? Say that again.
right now, that particular piece of music that I'm talking about is not published by me.
Yeah, you have to be careful because you know the whole thing with the Beatles and everything, right? Even though they wrote everything, they didn't own anything. So you have to be careful. You have to look at if you have a contract, you have to look at your
Right. Yeah,
contract,
yeah,
and
contracted. He screwed up apparently when putting it in Amazon.
well, then you have to sue him. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It's messy. You got to be very careful with your IP.
I have a lot of
Intellectual
messy
property.
music
You
out
have to be
there.
so careful with that. I got sued. I didn't get sued, but I got threat of a cease and desist. And luckily we did the app before we did the book, and I had to hire a lawyer to defend myself. And I knew I was right. But once they see that law firm, whoa, we're sorry, we're not, we're just kidding. So you may have to get it, go for get a lawyer, but go through, they do these, they call them oh my God, was it pro quid? Was it pro quid? They're cheap ones. I can't remember what it's called, but you go online and you get one and they'll do it for free and they'll write a letter for you, but you probably have to go after that guy, unfortunately. Um, I can talk to you privately too, by the way. I can, okay. Here's that link to what we were talking about the pre-launch, that's it link for the pre-launch there for the chat. I only have 4 minutes. I have another chat after this, so I have to go. But let's talk really. If there's no other questions, you can always question me privately, of course. Lydia, make sure you got everybody who's here. Free gift.
Everybody's in the chat.
Free gift is you're gonna get the chat GP. This is not available anywhere. It's only going to be available for my premium cohorts, but they're not doing books. So anybody who's here gets the chat GPT book writer, and Gemini now has gems. So you'll get the same thing. But what I did is I took Hero's Journey and I took Andrew Stanton's thing and I combined them. So you're going to get really powerful structure for writing a story. And the best way to do it is I'll send you the link when I get the list. I'll send it to you out afterwards. The best way to do it is say, where do I start? Type that, where do I start? It'll give you step-by-step instructions. If you give them something already pre-made, it'll take whatever you made pre-made and it'll push something out. But it's better to do, where do I start? And you'll get those today. The contest is really easy. As you know, we're really close to star, and I want that more than anything. And so we're going to have a star leaderboard. The day that I get star, whoever is on the top 3 positions, you have to get a trifecta though. And some of you are better at this than others, but You have to get, you don't have to get 111, you get 133, 333, 222, whatever it is. On the day of when I get the star, you'll get something in the courseware for free. Um, and courses are coming soon. I have a tentative right here. This is my tentative. Oh, wrong page. Sorry. These are tentative. I'm not positive on the prices, but I have not one tool, but I have 6 tools, and I got over 9 different authors that I combined to create, from everything from mystery to all kinds of things. If you know me, I give way more than I probably should, but I give a lot. The ebook module will be $79, includes a 30-minute hand holding, but you'll get a book out. You'll get marketing help. You'll get keyword help. You'll get category help. All that stuff. Paperback, same thing. It's only $20 more. It's a little bit more intense because there's a little bit more to it. If any of these look, again, the prices might change, but in February these will all be on the classroom that you can download. And then full package, you get everything. So I have to do this because there's a lot of work that goes into this, and it's on top of what I'm doing already. So, um, but like I said, I always give more than I. I think I give a lot. Do you think I give a lot? I give a lot. And that's it.